Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jordan Crook with TechCrunch. We're backstage at Disrupt Live, and I'm with Eugene Chung, who is the new managing director of TechStars New York.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
So glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just started, right, at
That's
TechStars?
correct.
How long ago, like a month?
2 months ago, yeah.
2 months ago, okay. So what brought you there? I know you were at NEA before, you've
right.
dabbled in filmmaking. I mean, why TechStars?
Yeah, sure. So, I started out, I've had a lot of different paths in my career, but right before TechStars, I was a venture capital investor with NEA, which is the world's largest venture capital firm. I was involved with a number of investments there, including a lot in New York City. And really, what really drove me here was the amazing, seeing the evolution of the New York tech community here, and really being able to be a part of it as part of TechStars. Also, I was an indie filmmaker where I had a team of 65 people, and seeing, trying to build a business there, I raised capital for it, and understanding how difficult it is to be both an indie filmmaker and an entrepreneur is something that I've brought together here in this experience.
I've noticed that indie filmmakers and entrepreneurs tend to have the same problems. Whenever I talk to indie filmmakers, it's like all the same complaints about the world.
It's the same thing. There's questions with co-founders. There's questions with raising capital. You never really have any. No one believes that your equity is worth anything, so you can't really get people to work for you. So you have to have motivation from somewhere else. So it's been very interesting drawing those lessons. I learned a lot from doing that. And bringing it to helping sort of the 11 companies that we brought on board TechStars this year has been a really fascinating experience.
Yeah, I love some of them. MoveLine is one of my favorites.
Yep, that's right.
MoveLine.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about the shift that you have seen in New York. Because I'm also one of the New York-based tech writers here. Yeah. And I've seen a bit of a shift myself. And you've been around longer. I want to know kind of what you see. There's kind of a resurgence, right? I mean, I've heard, the Bonobos founder was actually telling me the other day, he was like, we're doing engineering here where we're based because we're in fashion, and there are enough engineers here for us to pull from that talent pool now. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. In my position at NEA, I was able to see a lot of stuff, not just in San Francisco, but also around the world. And I think what the thing to realize is that it's not just New York City, but everywhere you're seeing sort of a resurgence, right? One of the things I wrote about the other day was that the movie The Social Network has become the Wall Street of our generation, and it's really inspired a whole generation of people to move on and become tech entrepreneurs. When I look at places like San Francisco, they have really deep engineering companies like a Palantir, and they're able to then take that and found companies like an Adipar, which has dozens and dozens of Palantir engineers. And they kind of look to New York and they say, where's your talent? But I think what's happening now is that you're seeing a confluence of factors that are allowing not just great engineers, but also great designers and great other types of talent to come in here to really give New York a very special presence that's different from anywhere else, not just in the US, but in the world.
Awesome. I like to hear that. Go New York, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about TechStars, right? So Tish left, David Tish, and he's kind of been the name that I associate with TechStars for a really long time. He was the managing director there. Big shoes to fill. What are your plans for TechStars? What are you going to do with this accelerator?
So I have the utmost respect for David Tish. He's done a great job for the last few years. Before him, TechStars was founded by Brad Feld and David Cohen in Colorado and Boulder. And I think what we really have an opportunity here is that to take some of the best practices that Tish has done and bring also some of the wisdom from the rest of the TechStars community. We have now built a global network. We've just opened up an office in London, which I think speaks to a lot of the trends that we're seeing in the marketplace, just both internationally as well as nationally. And I think we've come up with a lot of, I basically spent my early days at TechStars going around to the MDs, asking them, throughout the different cities, asking them their best practices, also drawing from my experiences building, big companies at NEA, being involved with investments like BuzzFeed and others. And I think bringing that all together into the New York program has really led to resurgence. We have some fantastic new mentors that I brought on board this time. Some guys from the West Coast are coming out here, to come speak with us. And I think it's going to be a really exciting program. We're already 1 month into our program. We had this year an all-time high of 1,700 companies apply.
Wow.
We always say the tagline from before was we're harder to get into than Harvard and Yale, but now our acceptance rate grows smaller by the year. This year it's 0.6%, which is just absurdly small.
Makes me feel sad.
It makes me feel sad.
Oh man.
I'm sure I can get into TechStars as well.
I'd rather get a 1,600 on the SAT, honestly.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you weren't actually here, but Chamath was speaking earlier, and he said something that kind of spoke to me a lot, which was that we have a lot of entrepreneurs now that are solving 1% problems.
Yeah.
They're solving and it was almost a dig at Snapchat. I talked about this before, but he essentially said what problem are you solving with sharing and deleting a photo?
Right.
Whereas there are things that are happening in other countries where there's these billion-dollar markets that we're not tapping into, and I think that comes down. A lot of the responsibility for that comes down to accelerators. And I know that there's so many different models being played around with. BetaWorks is different. You guys focus more on mentorship and more of a curriculum, and it's different from accelerator to accelerator, but where's the tough love, I guess is my question.
Well, I have a multifold answer to that. I think, first off, there is a bubble in the accelerator pool, and actually, Jordan, I cannot wait for that bubble to crash, because I think what you're going to find is that the best, we've been doing this for years, right? We perfected a model, and I think when you find that, the sort of the noise goes away, I think you're going to find a lot more sort of quality coming out, right?
Right.
So that's sort of the next part of the answer is, I think people talk about international, but we still are the biggest economy in the world. We're a $14 trillion economy. We have and if you think about our economy and break it down, 20% of our GDP is made up of venture-backed companies. That is not true anywhere else in the world, right? It's starting to become true, and that's actually what leads to interesting opportunities, not just in China, India, and Brazil, but also places like Indonesia, where the growth rate is just exploding. Places like Korea, where a good buddy of mine just left business school 2 years ago, and just started an e-commerce company that's now doing $1 billion in run rate revenue. So I think for now, the world has a lot to learn from the experiences that we in the US have had in terms of creating venture-backable companies. But what's really fascinating is I saw this at NEA, and I'm seeing this at TechStars even today. We're expanding to London, and I can guarantee you that's not the last sort of expansion. We're looking to the rest of the world. There's a massive global opportunity here, and we plan to take advantage of it.
Awesome.
And I can't wait to see sort of other stuff happening in other countries.
Me too. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question. We only have like 30 seconds left, but I want to know, because this is the topic that's been on my mind for the past month and a half, is Google Glass.
Yes.
What are you excited about? Because I don't think that Google is going to do anything interesting with it.
Yeah.
I mean, they built the hardware,
right,
and they'll have their Google services, but it'll be the third-party developers who are going to do the cool stuff, right?
That's right.
What are you excited about?
Well, I think so. Some people make comparisons to the early stages of the iPhone, and I think that time will tell whether this is sort of the Newton or the iPhone. And I think I've tried on the Google Glass. It's very interesting. I think it still has a lot of limitations, and they're still sort of iterating through the different pieces of hardware.
Right.
We actually considered very strongly taking a Google Glass company into TechStars this time.
Oh, wow.
But what I think what was different is when we thought about it, or we thought a little bit more, I think having the platform sort of develop, or having sort of a, there's some advantages to sort of being a first mover, right? But you think of sort of things like the things that have developed on the iPhone platform over several years, and I think that this game will play out over the course of many years and across many platforms, right? I can guarantee you Google is not the only one thinking about wearable hardware in the way that they're doing it.
Right.
So I'm very excited about the companies that are going to come out of there, and it's going to be a whole new ecosystem. So I'm pretty excited. Last thing I was going to say is, one more thing about accelerators is I think the most interesting company to me today is SpaceX, right? Enormous respect for Elon Musk. But when you think about it, Elon Musk had to start a payments company before he could get along to do sort of bigger problems, right?
Right.
So the 1% problem, I definitely agree with you that there are a lot of them out there. But a lot of entrepreneurs almost see that as a rite of passage, right? They want to build bigger companies, doing more disruptive things, but they have to prove themselves first and have a big exit, right?
Right. Paying your dues.
Exactly, paying your dues. PayPal was a $1.6 billion exit that ended up sparking a whole generation of really talented entrepreneurs, right? Things that have come out of there are just incredible. And you could argue, Palantir and even Facebook, because Peter Thiel invested in there. And I think that the more of those we have in New York, for example, with the Huffington Post mafia that's come out of here, Jonah Peretti was a co-founder of the Huffington Post, is doing amazing things. And I think all that speaks to some of the exciting things that we're going to see both in New York City as well as beyond.
Okay. Very awesome.
Yeah.
So do you want to go down to Startup Alley? Because I'm actually about to cut to a video that we have of Mike Butcher, who is roaming Startup Alley, and I think that Eugene might head down there too. So
awesome.
We're going to cut to that. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.